It's going to be a good session.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. And thank you for joining us in this learning experience brought to you by BMC. My name is Amanda Razzani, and welcome back to Tech Strong Learning. As always, this session is being recorded and will be available afterwards on demand. Please send your questions to the Q&A panel on the right side of your screen and join us in the chat by telling us from where you're tuning in. The resources panel on the left side of your screen has some additional handouts for you. And finally, 2 attendees will receive a $50 Amazon gift card after today's learning experience. So be sure to send in your comments and questions or fill out our survey to be eligible. Let's kick off our program. The topic today is using AI to improve operational efficiency. And I'm joined by Mary Chen, the Principal Solution Marketing Manager of BMC, Yaron Front, Product Director of BMC, and Rick Lafort, Director, Solution Engineer Architect of BMC. Thank you to Mary, Yaron, and Rick for joining us today. Mary, would you like to take it from here?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We have a lot to cover, so we'll just go through a quick round of introductions. As Amanda said, mentioned, I am the Principal Solutions Marketing Manager at BMC. Prior to joining BMC, I spent time at Splunk, VMware, and 2 startups in the monitoring and observability space, helping IT teams, including DevOps, to use data and advanced technologies to achieve operational efficiency. Yaron?
Thanks, Mary, and thanks everybody for joining. My name is Yaron Front. I'm a product director for BMC Helix Observability and AI Ops, which is part of our DSOM unit, which is our Digital Service and Operations Management. And I'm really excited about today's session. And we're going to see some very cool stuff about observability and AI ops. Rick?
Thanks, Yaron. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Rick Lafort, too. I'm with the Digital Service and Operations Management BU at BMC. I'm a leader of the Solution Engineer and Architect team. In that team, we tend to enable and evangelize BMC Helix software solutions across the BMC ecosystem. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Thad.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, this is Thad White. I've been at BMC for quite a long time, and I work on the same team as Rick Lafort. Looking forward to the session. Thank you.
All right. So our goal today is to give you the best hands-on experience of using AI within the BMC Helix Observability and AI Ops solution to reduce noise and so that you can do your job faster and much easier, and also to remove any blockers in your observability and AI Ops journey. You have a group of experts here to guide you through the experience and answer questions throughout the session. And for those who are not familiar with BMC, BMC offers a portfolio of solutions that enable the autonomous digital enterprise, where we connect across your entire technology landscape and turn systems of record into systems of action. Today, we will focus on observability and AI ops, which is a key area of our portfolio. Before I go over just a quick overview of the solution, we would like to know how you learned about BMC's observability and AI ops solution. So if you could take a moment to respond to our first poll question, that would be great. All right, so let's continue. BMC's observability and AI ops offering is built for modern IT teams that have to manage complex and multi-generational systems. So we're talking about multi-cloud, hybrid, as well as on-premises systems. These environments are undergoing constant changes due to widespread cloud adoption and DevOps practices of continuously releasing applications. As you can see here, machine learning and AI is embedded throughout the BMC solution to power discovery, monitoring, optimization, automation, and remediation of digital service issues. It's an open system, so you can collect data in real time from multiple data sources, and that includes topology information, changes, incidents from ITSM tools to provide context and more accurate insights. After getting the data in, AI is applied to do a number of things. Predictive AI detects anomalies and optimizes resources and capacity so that you can save on costs. We use causal AI to isolate root causes and to eliminate the blame game. And lastly, we use generative AI to summarize the issue of the problem in plain English for you so that IT teams can quickly understand why the incident is occurring and know what best actions to take to resolve the incidents fast. So AI is used throughout to help automate remediation, so you save time and resources in resolving incidents. So we believe that if you can effectively use AI, you can improve service reliability, you can reduce MTTR, and prevent incidents and improve efficiency at scale. So in today's walkthrough, we will focus on a few key capabilities of the solution that power some of the common use cases, such as automatic discovery of your IT assets and dependency mapping, root cause isolation, actionable insights to resolve common issues quickly, and continuous resource optimization to save costs and also avoid capacity-related incidents. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick to get us started.
All right, thanks again. So today we want this webinar and workshop to be hands-on. Yaron's going to walk you through the experience, but we also want you to experience it for yourselves. And to do that, we're going to use a guided demo platform that we have for our Helix users. And so first, I want to walk you through what the steps are to register for this platform, and then what the experience is like. And then I'll actually show you a couple screens so you get a feel for it. And we'll just take a few minutes, 5 or so minutes, to get everybody a chance to do this too. So first off, we'd like for you to either scan the QR code or complete the registration link in the presentation. And you can also find this in the handouts section of the platform here on the right-hand side. So we'll ask you to complete the registration form. And when you do, it's really important that you use a valid email address, because you're going to get your credentials to access the environment, which is a live BMC Helix tenant that you'll be accessing. So you'll need a valid email for that. And once the registration's complete, you'll get a confirmation email from BMC Software. The subject will be, say, BMC Helix Self-Guided Demo Access. Your username, again, will be your email. There'll be a generated password, which will be quite complex, and then a link to log in now. So what we're going to ask you to do, I mean, of course, you could type the password if you like, or you could copy it directly from the email to the login page when you click the Login Now button. But it's very, very important. We see a lot of issues with copying and pasting the email, so make sure you get it right and don't get any extra spaces on the end of the password, for example. So you can copy and paste the email or type it in. And then you'll sign into the Helix platform with those credentials. So with that, Mary, let's just go to the next screen real quick, if you don't mind, and then I'll show it, and then I'll share my screen and show it live. So I know this is kind of small, but the left-hand side of the screen is an example of what the registration page looks like, just so you When you go to the QR code or the link in the handout, you're in the right place. And then the email on the right is an example of what the email will look like when you get your credentials. So with that, let me share my screen and I will show you what that looks like live.
So, Rick, I see we have a question in the chat in asking whether we can put the link in the actual chat in the public chat here.
Yes. Can we copy that link in? Let me see. I've got it right here. 1 minute. Chat. Public. There we go. All right. So let me share my screen. Share your screen.
So for everybody, the link is now in the chat. If you just click over to the chat on the right side of your screen, Rick just pasted in the actual link.
And hopefully you'll be seeing my screen pop up here in a minute. There we go. So when you go to that URL in the chat, I'm on the screen live. You'll see a registration page that looks like this. So on the right-hand side is some information about the experience and a scrolling display, if you will. And then so we're going to ask you to enter your first name, last name, email. Please use a valid email again, company, phone, job level, your country or region, state or province. And then it's important to click the second box here for the online trial agreement, and then start your guided demo. And again, once you do that, if you do that, fill out all the fields and can submit the form, then you will get an email that looks like this. And so again, it'll be from BMC Software, the subject BMC Helix Self-Guided Demo Access, and it'll have your username, your email, your password, and then log in now. So you can copy the password, like I said. Be very careful to copy it and not get extra characters, and hit the login now button. And then you can paste this information into the login screen when you hit the login now button. Okay, so with that, Mary, I think I'm ready to turn it back to you, and we can give folks a few minutes to do that, and we can go over expectations next.
All right, thank you. So let me share my screen. All right, am I back?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. So we'll wait a few more minutes for everyone to complete their registration. While we're waiting, we do have another poll question for you. So please take a moment to let us know what would be the best way for you to learn more about observability and AI ops. I think we'll just spend one more minute for people to catch up, and then we can move on and dive into the demo quickly. If you're experiencing any issues, let us know in the chat. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Rick?
Okay, so let's set some expectations about the environment that you're about to be using. So first of all, when you get registered and you get access to this environment, you'll have access for 2 weeks. So you'll have access to the live Helix tenant for 2 weeks. So even after the webinar today, you can continue to explore using the guides if you want, and explore Helix and learn more about it. Like I said, the platform provides in-app guidance, so it provides step-by-step guidance through BMC Helix capabilities. The way you launch these guides, the starting point for these guides is through the Helix portal. The portal is the launch pad for all of the Helix applications, including what you'll see today, as well as the guides. And the way to get to the guides, if you want to explore what we'll see today, plus other capabilities of the platform, there's what we call a bot in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and we'll show you a screenshot of that next. There's and this is also again in the handouts section of the platform that the TechStrong platform. So there's a bot. You can use the bot to launch other menus, to launch various guides of all the solutions that we offer. You don't have to use the guides. There's off-road capability, so what we call off-road capability. So if you want to close the guides out, you can certainly click around on your own as you wish to explore the product and learn about it. Now, the environment provides limited access, so your permissions that you'll have for the 2-week period are restricted or read-only. So just keep that in mind. In other words, you're not administrators who can make changes and things like that to the environment. And be aware too, lastly, there'll be some informational emails that you'll get sent during the 2-week period. They'll provide some information and kind of remind you of how much more time you have left of the guided demo experience. And lastly, if you have a question or you want more info about the Helix guided demo platform, you can reach out to Helix Trial Support, and the email is there in the link, as well as in the handouts. So Mary, let's go to the next screen and just show a picture. So as you go through the guides, they will tend to open up browser tabs. And so if you want to come back and start at the beginning, you can come back to the tab with the Helix portal in it, which is what the screenshot shows. So from here, you can launch BMC Helix applications as shown by the various tiles there, as well as use the bot in the lower right to launch other guided demo menus for capabilities that we provide guidance for. So that's what that looks like. And next, I think we might have one more, or is that it? Are we ready to turn it over to Yaron?
We're ready to turn it over to Yaron.
All right. All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Mary. Let us let's share this and see how we do this. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen. Rick, Mary, can you guys see my
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
Excellent.
You're good.
Excellent. Okay, so hopefully everybody joining today, and thanks by the way everybody for joining. This is going to be a really exciting session. Hopefully everybody can see the screen that you're seeing over here. And what's really important is that you notice that this says operations management with AI ops, because this is what we're going to be focusing on today. So if you're not seeing this, or So if you're in this state or, anything's gone wrong, you can always click the bot down here on the bottom right that Rick was talking about, and you just select that and you go to Launch Helix Operations Management menu, and that should get you over here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a specific scenario, and just so you know, like Rick mentioned, you have 2 weeks access to this environment. So if you want to go through the same tour again, or if you want to take one of the many other functionalities that we're showing through these guided demos, they're very effective. And so you can go through each one of these, and the menu here in the bot also has other solutions from BMC that you can look at that have to do with observability and AI ops. So we're going to only see a really small subset of what you can do. Plus, as Rick did mention, you also have the option down here on the bottom left, which says explore on my own. So you can go roaming around the different solutions and look at the different offerings. And with that, let's start. So in today's workshop, so if we click here on the BMC Helix AI Ops demonstration, so scenario number 1, that's going to open up a new tab for you. And what we're going to be seeing today is how BMC Helix Observability and AI Ops uses multiple artificial intelligence and machine learning modalities in order to achieve 3 main benefits. BMC Helix Observability and AI Ops is designed to improve service reliability, accelerate time to resolution, and prevent incidents before they happen, and improve efficiency. Now, that sounds like a lot of words that are saying basically a lot of words, but you're actually going to see it today. You're going to see how we achieve that. And what we're going to see is how Helix uses several AI and machine learning modalities, like Mary talked about before in the architecture slide. And these modalities include causal AI, so our ability to look in the past, learn from it, and then come back to you and tell you what caused what. So if there's a causality chain, so there's a change of events that is happening one after the other, right? So oftentimes you have kind of a cascade of things going wrong. So you might have a failure in one point and then it's going to affect many others. What you're going to see today is how we use causal AI to not only tell you, hey, here's everything that's going wrong, but also what caused what. We also use predictive AI. So we don't only look in the past, learn from it, and give you relevant in-context information for right now. We can also kind of have a crystal ball and look into the future with predictive AI and tell you what's coming up. And that's really important if you want to not even have to deal with problem management, right? The best problems are the ones that never happen. So if you're able to predict and take preventative measures ahead of time, that's where you want to be. You don't want to have anything impacting service reliability. And the third one is generative AI. So there's a lot of hype, if you remember, ChatGPT and the whole craze about large language models and GPT only came on the scene not too long ago. But it's really made an impact. And and what we're going to see today is how using generative AI and these finely tuned large language models that BMC has built for this domain. So we've built finely tuned large language models that are designed to handle IT operations information as well as service management information. So we can take all of that and essentially simplify and make things a lot more clear to you. And we're going to see all that in in the demonstration today. So if we click next, so you've got the next button over here. One word of caution, you want to follow along and not click around, because if you click around, you're going to have to go all the way back to the portal screen. So you're going to need to go back here and start it again. So I highly recommend that everybody kind of stay within our guided demo. So if we look at this, so if we go into our service monitoring tool, so this is our observability and AI ops, kind of the main tool. What you can see up on the top here is information that is coming from different data sources. So we look at the infrastructure, we look at things like the network, we even get information from sources like the mainframe and application data and synthetic monitoring. We get all of that information and application data as well. And what we do is we create a a really big data repository that includes information such as topology and service context data. Really important, and we're going to see how we use that in a later stage in this walkthrough. We also get in the regular kind of monitoring type of information, so events and metrics and logs and alerts. But we also get in service management data, like information about incidents and information about tickets and defects and change data. We're going to see all that in one of the next screens, as well as knowledge articles. And what I'm actually trying to say when I kind of outline all of these different data sources is that a lot of people come to me and say, hey, you're the AI ops guy, right? So isn't AI ops just taking a layer of artificial intelligence and putting it on top of our existing monitoring? And the answer to that is honestly, really, it isn't. It's about getting information from as many sources as possible. So you want to get service information, you want to get topology information, you want to get context information. And as I'm sure many of you know, AI is only as good as the information that it's fed. And if you want to use machine learning, if you want to use AI, you want to have the most comprehensive information you can. You want to bring in as much data from all the different data sources so it can, at the end of the day, help you understand it. So we got kind of a strange thing going on, because usually what people are struggling with is they either don't have enough information or they have too much information, right? Because if you don't have enough information, you don't know what's going on. You don't know how to fix problems. If you have too much information, you can't make sense of it. It's not humanly possible today to look at all of the monitoring and service and architecture and topology and everything. A human can't make sense of all of that. And that is where AI ops comes in and brings the most value. It brings the most value by using as much information as possible, but narrowing it down and giving you very targeted, concise information about what you need to know. And this green is a great example of this. So in this overview screen, we can see a high-level view of the health of the IT services that you provide to the organization. So if we look at the top bar here, we can see not only the total amount of events that you have open right now, but you can also see the trend. So you see the trend is going down by 1%. You can see the total amount of anomalies detected for your services, the total amount of incidents, so service incidents you have open right now, what is your MTTR and what the trend is. So we see that we're not doing very well, and the trend is trending up, so 19% increase. And you see how much noise was reduced. So I'm going to be talking a lot about noise reduction, and we do noise reduction in several ways. Like we can take a whole bunch of events and narrow them down and summarize them into a single situation. We can take a huge topology and reduce the noise and show it to you in very few blocks. So again, we are making IT operations information humanly consumable, and by that we enable you to improve the service levels, accelerate the time to resolution, and prevent problems before they happen. So if we click next over here, we can see on the left panel, we see a list of the impacted services and the severity of the impact. This list shows, so you can see down here on the bottom left, you see the top 5 most impacted services that I have right now. So I have a list of these services. I can see an overview of how many services I have, how many are in critical, how many are in major severity impact. I can see trend information and the health. So if we look at this, we can click next over here, and on the right side, we see a list of situations. So what are situations? Situations are AI generated correlations of related events. So, and this really talks to it's not humanly manageable today, all the information that you get. Because when something goes wrong, operators are often faced with an event storm. We call it an event storm. And that, on a good day could be dozens, on a fair day could be hundreds, and on a really bad day, and I've seen it, can even mean thousands of events for a single incident. So one thing goes bad, but then you've got alarms blaring all over the place, and you're getting events on top of events on top of events, and you've got many systems telling you, hey, something went wrong, but you don't know where it went wrong. You don't know what the impact is. You don't know which service is impacted. So using artificial intelligence and machine learning, we're able to correlate all of these events that are related to a specific failure into one situation. The upshot is we're adding service context to each incident. We're greatly reducing the noise. We're making it easier for humans to understand. We're helping you to find the root cause quicker. And you'll see it in one of the next screens. We're able to add automated flows for problem resolution. So we have a situation related to the retail outlet service. So you see it says retail outlet over here. So if we click next, now it's going to direct us to, okay, let's go to the services and let's click on this link over here. So just so you're aware, some of these callouts ask you to click a link or a button rather than just do next. So what we want to do is we want to click the retail outlet link. So on the top here, before we go on and click further, on the top here, you see we have a timeline. Now this timeline is color-coded to show me the impact on the retail outlet service. And we're going to see all the different components here in a minute. But first of all, if we look at what we're asked to do, is let's go to the timeline and change it. So we click on last 3 hours. And let's change that to, let's see the last 24 hours. So what you can see here, right under the timeline, you can see these little ticks or these squares and the circle. And what these allow you to do is they show you on this span, so I selected 24 hours, I can see when in the 24 hours I had events. So that's the little squares here on the top. And I also get change information. So we all know changes. So when you make changes in your IT environment or in your IT estate, that can often be the cause of issues that may happen right after or a little bit after. So that's all relevant information when you want to go in and see the different events that happen to this specific business service. So if we click next, you can see here that this is a view of the CI topology. The view is focused on only the impacted CIs, and it reduces the visual, what we call the visual noise, and allows operators to focus on what's important. So when we talk about noise reduction, a lot of times people say, well, noise reduction is just, less events. No, it isn't. It's helping IT professionals be able to focus on what's important, get to the root cause quicker, and solve the problem. Because you always got to keep your eye on the ball. We're trying to solve a problem, and we're trying to do it as quickly as possible. So if we look at the topology, what we can see is that we have a network device here, which is identified as our causal node, but we also see what it is impacting. So if you do a mouse over, don't click on it, just do a mouse over, you can see that this network device is impacting this host, which is impacting these 3 software instances, and this software instance is impacting a cluster, which is impacting a software component. So what you can see here is a very clear graphic representation of your CI topology. And now if we go over here and we click this little button over here, it's going to extend our screen and we're going to see everything bigger so we can focus on some of the more important things that we see in the CI topology. So the first thing we see is it comes pre-filtered. So I only see, as I said before, the causality. So, it's filtered by the causal node. So I only see my one causal node here and what it's affecting downstream. And now let's try and remove some of the filters just so we can kind of get a more of a holistic view of the topology. So if we click the X over here, and we remove the second filter as well, so you need to remove both filters, we see an expanded view of the CI topology, and and what we can also do, we see the full topology of what is essentially complex service. So you see what we saw before, which is our causal node that's affecting a couple of hosts that doing all that. That's part of a much bigger and more complex service. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and see a little bit more of, without looking just at the causal node, we can also remove this and we can remove the grouping. So we remove this, right? And now you can see the much more complex service, and that's now expanded, so we don't group the CIs anymore. You can zoom in and see the the different components that we have here, and you can see how each one can potentially impact another. So if we close the big topology view, so now we want to focus on the health indicators. So let's click on View Health Indicators here on the bottom left. So let's talk a little bit about these two graphs. So you can define any combination of collected metrics to be defined as a key performance indicator that impacts a service health. In this case, we see that we have two health indicators, right, that are not exactly the same, but you can see that there's most definitely a correlation. So they went down together and they're going up together. Maybe not exactly the same, but you can see that these two indicators are most definitely correlated. And what you can also see is that we've set a threshold, and that, a threshold like this for a health indicator will trigger an alert due to this threshold being breached. So this gives you a lot more information. It gives you context information over time, but it doesn't talk about the infrastructure. What it talks about a service. You're talking in terms of business services rather than talking about the infrastructure. So you're seeing how, in this case, this is user experience monitoring. So you see that the health of the service is defined by that rather than by, a node or a CI having an issue. So if we click next, now we want to start looking at analyzing what the root cause is. This is a very important capability of using AI ops and observability, because oftentimes it's difficult to know where the problem started, because that's usually what you need to fix. And you don't want to just fix a symptom. So the downstream effect is oftentimes, people go in to try to fix the symptoms instead of trying to fix the actual root problem. So getting to the root cause, very important. So for this service, so I'm still looking at it at a service level, I can go and I see and analyze what the root cause of my problem is. So what we can see in the root cause is on the left, you see that I have a causal host, that if I click on it, can get more information about it, but we're not going to do that. And then we can see the causal event. So we've identified out of many events, in this case, I think it was like 24 different events, we identified what is a root cause event, and it's denoted by this little bullseye over here. And we see that log events on an interface occurred about 13 hours ago. They had an impact score of 28. The severity is critical. This event is still open. It's a priority 1 event. The class, it's a log event, so it's an event that came from log data. We see that we have 3 possible automations that can help us fix or remediate this event, but we'll see more information about the automations later. And we also see the incident ID. If we click next, we can also see, if we click on the changes here, we see that we have a recent change to the causal CI. So, we have the causal host over here. You see that 13 hours ago, we had a recent change that caused the CI. And so this change is a change that you can see here. It was completed, right? And the impact level is significant. So this is a major change that was done. So we can see that the change is completed, meaning the work order is done and the change is already taking effect. And this probably tells me that something about this change could be related to the impact on the causal host. And this is likely something that we're going to want to look at, or that we're going to, and that we want to solve. I'm not going to do it right now, but we can also click on the change ID over here, and then it takes me to my IT service management console, and I can see all the information I need to see about the change. And this is important. The ability to bring in both service management and operations and IT operations management together into one tool is very powerful. As we said before, AI is only as good as the breadth and depth of the information you feed into it. And our ability to get service ops and IT ops information together as one is very powerful and will help you to solve problems quicker, analyze them, get to root cause, all the things that we saw today. So that's about the changes. Now, if we click next over here, so we saw a little bit of information, we saw the root cause, we looked at everything. Now let's start analyzing the actual situation that we have. So if we click on Analyze Situations here, we see a table of one or more, but in this case, it's one situation that is the root cause of the failure that I'm seeing. So I see that for retail outlet, a log event, interface down. So I get a little bit of information about the situation. I go, well, let's drill down and we'll see it in a minute. That occurred about 13 hours ago. There's been 3 similar situations in the past, and we're going to see a little bit about similar situations in the next screen. But it says that, yes, there were 3 similar situations in the past. The related events that make up the situation. So I have 27 related events. So imagine this. IT operators not using AI ops, they're going to see 27 events coming in for this problem, and they're going to need to go and start investigating each one of the 27, trying to understand what the root cause is, which event they should focus on, what should they do in order to manage and fix that event. With BMC Helix observability and AI ops, with the AI ops and machine learning and large language models that we have, we're able to reduce all of these events into a single situation. We see that the type of situation, so it's an ML-based situation. The severity is critical. Priority is obviously a P1. Status is that it's still open. See the automations again. So if I click next, if we had an incident ID, we could see it here. And I can open the situation. So I started off, so all of the screen was talking about a single service. And now I can drill down and focus in on the open situation that I have. So we want to click on the situation, and that gets us to the situation screen. So the first thing we want to focus on when we talk about this situation is we want to see, we want to get an explanation. So we call this situation explanation. We want an explanation, show me graphically, if possible, like we do here, show me what happened, show me what caused what. And the first way we show it to you is we show it to you graphically. And what you have on the left over here, you have the different layers. So you have the network device that caused multiple alerts over here. Now, if you can just see on the bottom here, when I'm clicking over these events, you can also see them on the topology view here on the bottom. So I can see that I had a causal event, which is red. So there's a 28 score, which means that this is likely my root cause event that triggered another 2 events here for the devices, for the network devices. And these cause multiple events on the software component layer. So this is the middle one is software component layer, which eventually impacted my business service, which is on the bottom here. Again, making things visually simple so you can, at a glance, understand exactly what's going on is part of the important value of using observability in AI ops. So if we click next, we can go into a list view and see the different events that are shown graphically here. So we go into the list view. And so what we see here essentially is a list of events. So you see we have 27, and I'm just showing the first 10, but and you can scroll over here, but you see a list of 27 events, all that were all grouped together to create this one situation that you're going to be dealing with and fixing. And you can see the log message, you can see the host, you can see when it, you can see the impact score, severity, all this good stuff. And again, all of this helps in investigating and understanding exactly what happened, what caused what. And the next thing we're going to see is we're going to see, okay, so I understood what happened, but how do I go forward? How do I fix this? So if we click next over here, we can now focus on the situation summary. So this situation summary is generated by Helix GPT, which is our large language model generative AI engine, which generates a summary of exactly what happened in human readable form based on a situation fingerprint. Now, when I say a situation fingerprint, this is a new concept developed by BMC, which talks about the ability to look at past situations, create what we call the fingerprint for each one of these situations. So if another situation of a similar nature happens in the future, we can identify it and tell you, and you can see that in similar situations, and we can tell you, hey, this situation that you're dealing with right now happened before, maybe on a different host, maybe it affected different CIs, but it still has the same fingerprint. So maybe you want to go back in time and look at those situations, and you can just click on this map here and get to the past situations. So maybe you want to look at all of these past situations and understand, what did you do in the past? Did it work? And maybe you can do the same thing today in order to fix a problem. So this, the situation summary up top here is a really important feature, and it allows operators to quickly understand what went wrong, how it happened, and why it happened. So if we read this, so we had an interface down issue on whatever CI this is, which is the root cause of the situation. But it also tells me that the situation began with an interface down alert for this node, leading to a series of issues, including abnormal port utilization, network performance drop, whatever it is. And this culminated in a final violation of the retail business transaction health rules. So it goes all the way from, the root cause shows me what happened, but it also tells me that at the end of the day, my users were impacted by this because it breached or violated the retail business transaction health rule. Really important. So if you're using Helix Observability and AI Ops, you no longer have to call all the subject matter experts in each one of the fields, like the database expert and the network expert and the infrastructure guy and the application guy and the database guy, all in a war room and start playing the blame game. and and playing a game that we like to call MTTI, mean time to innocence, which is everybody's trying to say, no, 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 it's not me, it's not the database, it's a network, and the network guys saying, no, no, it's not the network, the application's gone wrong. No more blame game, and you get a very targeted message that tells you, here's where it started, here's what happened, and here's how your users have been impacted. But the thing is that's no, that's not enough. So fine, so I know all this. What do I do about it? So the next capability that we want to look at, if we click next, is best action recommendations, or BAR. So after you have all this information, what happened, what caused it, who's impacted, why it happened. So now the next question is, great, what do I do about it? So if we click on show remediation steps, so that triggers BAR, and you see our generative AI engine is now generating our best action recommendations. So this is generated by Helix GPT. We get a list of different actions that we can take. So using the same finely tuned large language models that we were talking about before, that are honed and that were purpose built in order to work on IT operations and service operations data, and Helix GPT, which is our generative AI engine, we generate these best action recommendations. And these recommendations are generated based on machine learning from past incidents and from past situations to recommend what the best course of action is to fix the issue. And in this case, we can see that if we reset the VLAN configuration, that likely solves the problem. So let's see how we do that. So we can click Next over here. And if we go into Open Actions here on the right, so the three dots over here, we can then click on Trigger an Automation. And we get a list of 3 automations that we can run. And we can run the suggested best action, which is to reset the VLAN configuration. Now, this is very powerful. The holy grail today, when you're talking about IT operations management, is to facilitate and have the self-healing IT operations management, meaning have as many automations as you can to help you quickly fix a problem. But like we saw before, having automations is not enough. If I throw 120 automations at you and say, yeah, go fix a problem, the automation is one of those 120 automations that you have. And by the way, I've seen places that have thousands of different automations that they built over the years. That's not enough. You need something like best action recommendations to not just tell you, here, you have an automation, but here's the one automation that from the past, from analyzing what you did in the past, what worked, what didn't work, how did people react. We look at tickets. So we can look at human written text in tickets and knowledge bases using Helix GPT to analyze all that and come back to you with a recommendation, a solid recommendation of what you need to do. And then when you have an automation for it, you can just click on run the automation. It runs and it fixes the problem. You can also have certain situations where you want to have automations automatically triggered. So when our AI ops and observability platform recognizes that there's a new situation that is similar to past situations, and you said, okay, if a situation like this happens again, please automatically run this automation, you can have that too. And that's a really automated way to have a self-healing IT. So if we click next over here, so that's it for our really brief walkthrough on IT, AI ops, and observability. And I'm wondering, I'm just looking at my watch. It's odd, like I don't have 50 watches on my computer in front of me, but I'm just wondering, Mary, if we have time to go through another scenario maybe, or should we turn it over for Q&A?
I think we can spend another maybe 10 minutes for another scenario.
Okay, really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we close, I'm going to go ahead and close this tab, and that brings me back to the Helix portal. So the one scenario we saw over here is called the BMC Helix AI Ops demonstration. So we did number one here. I really encourage all of you to, after the session, you can come back here with the credentials that you got over email. You can run any of these. So 2, 3, I think we have about 6 over here. But the next one I want to show you is a slightly different angle on observability and AI ops. So if everybody can please click on the close button here on the top right, and then we click on close this one as well, and then we click on the robot on the right, and instead of selecting the Helix Operations Management menu, let's select the Continuous Optimization menu. Sorry. So you should see, the difference is that you should see BMC Helix Continuous Optimization here on top. And what BMC Helix Continuous Optimization is, it is our service assurance and optimization solution. Now, when we're talking about service assurance and optimization, there are actually two sides to the same thing. It's talking about the ability to balance risk. So when we talk about service assurance, we want to make sure that the services that your organization provides are reliable and that they're working, be it internal services like CRM, ERP, whatever it is that you're running internally, or external customer facing like your public website or different services that you give your customers or partners. We want to make sure that these services are reliable and that you don't run into problems because of lack of resources or other problems that you may have. But the flip side of that is optimization. So it's service assurance and optimization. Optimization talks about making sure that you're spending in the right place and that you're not wasting money or overspending on things that you're never using and that you could be spending a lot more efficiently on your business. So if we look at the different scenarios here, again, I encourage everybody to go back to this after the session and maybe go through the different scenarios. But we're going to look first at the first scenario here, which is called the business service view. So scenario number 4. So this takes us into our BMC Helix continuous optimization solution. And what we're going to see is, how do we take that business context that we saw before and we utilize that in order to do service assurance and optimization? It's all part of AI ops and observability. And if we click next over here, so this is our business service overview screen. So this is talking about, let's look at the resource allocations and possible saturation risks that I have for each one of the business services that I have. So if I look at this, I can see that I have 15 business services defined. Right now, I have 6 services that are already saturated. But we can also see here, I can see a number of business services that are forecasted to be saturated. So this is a little crystal ball I was talking about before. It's the ability to not just have to be reactive, meaning problem comes in, I solve it, by also being able to plan for the future and be proactive rather than reactive. So we're kind of talking about going from reactive to proactive to prescriptive, meaning here's what I need to do in order to mitigate a risk or fix a problem before it happens. So this kind of gives you a forecast into the future about how many business services you have with a forecast to saturate right now, within 1 to 30 days, a month to 2 or 2 to 3 months, or if you're safe. So we have 6 that are saturated right now and 9 that are just fine. Next, I can see this little map over here, and I can see by the importance of the service. So you can tag the importance of services, and you can see, okay, I have 2 critical services that are saturated right now. But I also have one that is, low importance that's saturated. So this also, again, it points me where I need to go in order to make changes in order to assure the service performance. Next on the bottom here, and this is very, very cool. What you see is you see a list of business driver and their supported growth. Now, business drivers are defined as key business KPIs that drive your business, but they're not things that are coming from IT. So they have nothing to do with the actual IT estate or the IT infrastructure that you have. A good example of that would be how many people are visiting your public website. If you're an e-retailer, it may be the number of people trying to use their credit card on your website, or the number of people trying to put something in their shopping cart. So business drivers are key performance indicators that have to do with the business, not with the IT. And BMC has developed proprietary technology that is able to, in the background and automatically, so you don't need to do anything for this to happen, we're able to correlate between the business drivers and the system metrics. So we're able to understand that a 10% increase in the number of people going to your public website's homepage may impact one server CPU usage by 5%, but another server or maybe a network device may be impacted by 75%. So it's not a one-to-one correlation. We all know that, right? So we're able to do that correlation. We have an AI-driven automated correlation algorithm selection and forecasting algorithm selection, and we build our fitting models, and we're able to tell you in very simple terms the answer to the following question: how much growth in business terms can your current infrastructure support? And let's see what that means. If let's say I'm running a Jira business service, I have a business service inside my organization, BMC, we know how to use Jira. So if I have a business service called Jira, and one of my business drivers, so the things that are important to my business, is the number of open tickets, I can see that I can only support 35% more people opening tickets, right? So I went in, looked at all the IT infrastructure that's running this business service called Jira, maybe multiple databases, multiple servers, networks, the whole thing. And I'm able to recognize what the most constraining part of that business service is when it comes to the number of open tickets. And I can tell you, you can only support 35% more people opening tickets before you run into problems. So if we click next, you also have this little pie chart over here showing the risk to your services. Click next. So this is, like I said before, the number of available business services. We click next, and that's it for this one. There's just one more scenario that we're going to look at today. So if we close this out and we go back to the portal, let's look at this one, which is a what if for business service simulation. So this scenario, what it allows you to do, it allows you to run a theoretical future scenario to see what happens if a certain business event happens. And again, a business event may be many different things. So if I'm an e-retailer, the future business event that I'm talking about may be the launch of a new iPhone. So I know whenever there's a new iPhone launched, I'm going to get 50% more people trying to buy on my e-retailing site. If I'm an insurance company, and this is, by the way, a true example, the number of severe weather events throughout a year, that's a business driver for me, because the more severe weather events happen, the more claims people go in either on my website or on my call center to open up claims. So I want to know, if we're forecasting 5 hurricanes this season, can my IT infrastructure support the extra load that's going to be generated by these 5 hurricanes? So let's see how we do that. So if I click next over here, so the first thing I look at is I look at the details of my business service. So this is the ACME order service, and we click next, and we can see usage and risk bars here. So we have the usage, so we're at 52%. Usage right now, we can see the CPU, memory, and storage for the service. But on the other hand, we do see that we're at high risk. We're at a 95% risk that something may go wrong with this service. I can also see a specific supported growth for this. So I can see, catalog views. I can support, a growth of 191%. And for catalog items, so I can support all of this growth right now. I can see it both in percentage, in units, and a growth limit. And now I can run a what if simulation. So I want to know, so I'm this e-retailer, there's an iPhone coming out soon. I want to know, what is that going to look like, and what do I need to do in order to support it? So we click got it, and we go into the simulation. So what this is doing right now is it's analyzing the service, and it's taking into account what we call the organic growth. So, a business service, hopefully in every organization, the load grows, right? As the business grows, the load on IT grows. So it's taking into account that organic growth. But now we want to see, what is that going to look like? So if I look at my timeline, I can see that, yes, in May, right now, I'm green. I'm all good. There's no saturation happening now. But given the organic growth, so given my projected growth of the load on this business service, I can see that in July, I'm probably going to run into trouble, right? So let's see, why am I going to run into trouble? Well, I'm going to run into trouble because I'm simulating an iPhone launch that's going to happen in July. So if I click next, I can see that I'm simulating catalog views. So I have one event here. So if I click on it, you can see that the order received is going to jump by 500%, right? So that's what I'm simulating right now. You can see the graph. So in July, I expect to have an increase of 500% because of this launch. So this is a change. Now you can define any change you want based on any business driver that you have for this business service. So if we click out and we click cancel, so we can see that this triangle over here is showing me that there's one event happening in July that's going to turn this service from green to red. But we don't just stop at telling you, hey, you're going to have a problem in July. We also make very specific recommendations based on our analysis of the weakest link in your business service to tell you, hey, if you want to handle this change, if you want to make sure that you don't run into trouble when this iPhone launch happens, here's what you need to do. So we have the different recommendations. So we have 2 recommendations for what we call scale out. So we want to take the web pool and the app pool, and we want to increase the web pool from 1 to 2, and we want to increase the app pool from 2 to 3. You can see on the bottom here, very detailed description of it, and I'm going to show you a little bit more of this in a minute. So we have these recommendations. So we click next. And even though the tour is ended, let me show you how that works. So if I scroll down, I can see what my most constraining resource is. So you see that the constraint is CPU on both of these pools, and that this change that's going to peak on the 18th of July is going to reach 114% for this and 160% for this. So what did we actually do here? We took a business event, which is an iPhone launch. We talked about a business driver, which is a number of people going in and trying to buy a new iPhone. And the system was able to, without any intervention from me, analyze the exact impact of that on the CPU and all the other resource utilization for each one of these services, and was able to tell me this is what it's going to look like in the future. You can see our confidence level. So 3 bars is high confidence. You can see when it happens. You can drill down and see a little bit more information about that. And then we can also continue our simulation. So if we click on the scale out for both of these, and I apply the changes and run the simulation again, you can see that I'm now back to green. So I have 2 resizes, which are these 2. I have 1 business event simulated. So I see that until November, I'm all green, I'm doing well. And that's it for the walkthrough. Again, I encourage everybody to come in here. You can always either go through these simulations. You can use a bot on the bottom right here to see the different solutions that we have. Or you can do my favorite, which is I'll explore on my own and go at it and experience BMC Helix Observability and AI Ops. And with that, we'll go back to Mary.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Yaron. Let me reshare my screen. All right. Seeing my screen fine?
No.
Not yet.
All right. Let's see. All right. Guess we're here. Okay.
We can
I
see it
believe
now.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. So we have some time to open up for questions. We did try to answer as many questions as we could during the presentation. But before, as you put in more questions, I do want to remind you that you do have 2 weeks access to the BMC Helix portal with your account. So we highly encourage you to continue your exploration and your learning. If you haven't downloaded the handout, please do so. It has important links and contact information in case you want to reach out to us. If you have any questions about the free trial, or if you want to schedule a one-on-one, to help you get started. Also, we do have one last poll question. We would like to learn a little bit more about your observability and AI ops journey. If you could take a minute to answer that question, that would be really helpful for us. Team, are we seeing anything else that have come in? Any questions?
That is answering one at the moment. And Mary, of course, we'll go back through the Q&A, and anything that we didn't answer, we can reply to via email offline as well.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Yaron, there's a question about forecast growth data in the Q&A. Do you see that? Maybe you want to take it. You're on mute.
Most spoken sentence ever, you're on mute. So the one that's always AI could identify potential problems? Rick, is that the one?
Yeah, there's that one and the one before it from,
Okay.
if I said it right, Nianya.
Okay, so what if forecast growth data is not correct? Can AI watch the real growth and warn? Yes, absolutely. So what we do is, we do model fitting, and the proprietary technology that I was talking about before is our automated selection of different forecasting models. So if we see that in the past what we used didn't work, right, we learn from that. And we try to fit the models in the best possible way to the actual data. And when you saw those 3 bars, the confidence bars, if we see that we missed it in the past, or if the data is too noisy or too chaotic, then we're just going to warn you and tell you, hey, we are making a prediction, but we're not that sure about it. And that's all part of, again, at the end of the day, it's you who is making the decision. But we're just trying to give you as much information, obviously including our confidence level. And there's another question here. So AI could identify potential problems before they escalate. Absolutely. However, experts could do better in certain circumstances where historical data might not be available for AI. Very true. How much time do you expect AI would take before it could make instinctive and intuitive judgment or decisions? That's almost a philosophical question. I mean, does AI have intuition? Well, not really. It doesn't. What it does do, it is very, very good. So AI and machine learning, they're very, very good at understanding patterns, and identifying things that look the same. If you look at fields like the use of large language models, and if you look at the field of what they call deep learning, it really exploits the machines or the AI capability of seeing patterns and identifying similarities and being able to do segmentation and grouping and identifying trends a lot better than humans ever could. And it's all based on the amount of data you can feed it. The more data, it's like a learning, machine, right? The more examples you show it, the more data you feed into it, the better it's going to get. So honestly, I sometimes feel that, as I'm going through websites, some of the ads are based on, on Google's intuition of what I want to see, because I was just talking to my wife about maybe buying a new oven for the kitchen, and all of a sudden that's all the ads that I see. But it's not real intuition. There are some things that only we can do. So how long? Well, the technology is getting better. And every few years, I find myself feeling like, that baby called AI is getting more and more intuitive. But again, it's not real intuition. It's knowing how to identify patterns. So, just look at the huge impact and huge kind of step up that we went through when ChatGPT and all the large language models, and look at the type of impact that GPT is having on IT operations and on service operations today. Using service ops today, so just looking at it from the service view, just the fact that a large language model and a GPT engine can go in to thousands and sometimes tens and hundreds of thousands of pages of manuals and knowledge management articles and knowledge articles, and going into all that and summarizing it in context to the problem that you're having right now, like we do with BMC Helix ITSM. That's incredible. That's something that if somebody told me about that 5 years ago, I'd say, yeah, in the Star Trek world, maybe where we have communicators and we can do that, maybe. But we're actually seeing it today in Helix ITSM. And what we saw before was a situation summary that's actually telling you like a real human, a story, right? Here, this happened, and this caused this, which impacted this, and here's what it looks like to our customers. Again, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have dreamed that we would be at this level today. And now we're going beyond that. Now we're getting into having, and you're going to see it very soon, you're going to see chatbots where you go to and you ask it, you pick up a microphone and you say, hey, who should I call about this event that I'm seeing on the screen? Or you're going to be able to click a button and say, which team can help me solve this situation or this event? And you're going to get an answer. So intuition, maybe not, but very, very close to it. We're there. The revolution is here. Look at every version that BMC has put out for observability and AI ops, and you're going to see components of it. So yeah, I can go on and on, but I won't. So any other questions or comments that you think we should be looking at?
I believe we are at time. Anything that we can't answer, we will answer in email. So thank you everyone again for joining us today. We hope you had a great experience just learning about our observability and AI ops solution, and we look forward to hearing from you as you go through the free trial.
Yeah, go through the scenarios. Feel free to contact us. There's a contact us in some of the handouts. It's part of the you see contact BMC on the bottom right where you see the scenarios. Reach out to us. We're here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes, and before we close out, please click the survey in the resources section as your input is invaluable to us. and we will email you the recording from today's session shortly. I would like to once again thank BMC for sponsoring this learning experience, and I would like to thank you, Mary, Huron, and Rick for taking the time to join us. It's been a pleasure working with you. And thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.